se, but against somebody else. I've often made mention that that's where you should put the in-state FCS teams. I think that'd be good for everybody. But, why not do something? Heck, I even called for something along the lines of a jamboree a couple of years ago that like this area could have up in Charlotte. Make it a weekend up there at Bank of America Stadium. Have the Gamecocks, Tar Heels, Wolfpack, Deacons, Tigers, ECU, a few others here and there, and just have little quarters just like you do at a jamboree. That'd be kind of cool, man. Have a little fan fest or something. But, nobody took me up on it, so there's that. But we'll talk with John coming up in just a little bit. Speaking to the NFL, and I will say I did not get this first. Yeah, Jen's happy. The Bills did know there was a game, even if it's an exhibition, right? They did know there was a game.
And I was actually thinking, was that the Bears and the Bills uniforms or something? Because that would have been more of a Bears performance.
I want to come back around to that with you. I want to come back around to that. And I know that Josh Allen didn't play, and that makes a difference to some degree. And
38 points difference?
I don't know. No. But and here again, how seriously are they taking these games? But we'll come back around to that. But I did not get the intelligence first from this. But our good friend Deuce Staley did text me about some of the crazy things going on around the Browns. And today, if you didn't see it, the Browns named Joe Flacco their starter. And Joe's 137 years old. And so I texted back to Deuce and I said, hey, if Flacco's going to be the starter, does that mean you're the starting running back? And he didn't say no.
Oh, that could be fun.
Yeah, he didn't say no. But I think Deuce is approaching the big 5-0.
I see nothing wrong with that.
But you know what?
Stretch.
Did you see Deuce last time he was here? I don't know if you got to see him last time he was here.
I didn't.
Well, listen. Deuce looks like he was still playing for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh, wow.
I'm not kidding. I was like, dude. He's like, yeah, I've been trying. I was like, trying.
Wow. Impressive.
Yeah.
So you weren't going to, scrimmage with him out in the hall or anything?
Nah, we did that back in the day.
Yeah, okay. But not now.
Well, right when he got out of the league, he was tired. And it was a lot easier. And I was younger. Mm-hmm. It was a lot easier for me to take him. Mm-hmm. Plus remember the old studio? I could just, go one time in that little narrow studio, and he couldn't get around me.
Oh, yeah. See? Mm-hmm. We have a different space here now.
It's all big out there. So he's still got moves. He can juke around me and make something happen.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. I cornered the market back in the day. I knew I was savvy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's that. But anyway, so look out, kids. Deuce could be the starting running back for the Cleveland Browns in a couple weeks. And the player coach.
You heard it here first.
Just saying. Don't discount it as of yet. Speaking of running backs, and come back around to the Gamecocks in all seriousness, and we'll touch on this with John in a little bit. Today is, again, give or take, day 223 of the Rasul Faison Watch. And as most of you know, but I'll remind you if you don't, a few months back, Rasul and his family hired, this wasn't the Gamecocks either, this was Rasul and his family, hired very prominent Florida attorney Darren Heitner to represent them in this case. And Darren has had several successful cases go before the NCAA, or in court before the, and won over the NCAA, I guess I should say. And today, in so many words, and I can't pull my Twitter feed up right now because, again, I got to go in and change my password real quick, so I'm not going to do that while I'm on the air. But I'll get it for you in a minute. But in so many words, Darren said, hey, NCAA, you got everything you need. Don't make us act any more than we have. And I was like, okay. There you go.
How's that going to go?
So one of the things that we speculated on, and I'm not sure how you guys have touched on this on the morning show, Jim, but one of the things that Terry and I were talking about and trying to make some analogies, because a lot of fans, and I'm sure y'all have gotten some of the questions too, well, hey, Diego Pavia sued. And then more recently, just last week, there's a kid who plays for Indiana, but he's from Texas. He sued in Texas, and he at least got a judge to give him 2 weeks' worth of practice. Now, he was denied practice. Remember, Rasul was at least granted from the NCAA the opportunity to practice.
Right.
This kid in Indiana who's trying to challenge some of the same things that Pavia and Rasul are in terms of some junior college years, had been denied the ability to practice. The NCAA basically told this kid, "You're done. Your clock has expired." They haven't done that with Rasul. But a lot of people asked, to come back around to it, why hasn't Rasul Faison gone the court route? And I think it's because, from the conversations I've had, that there was still information that the NCAA needed that Rasul and Carolina and the NCAA had simply not been able to get based on one of his previous academic stops. What that information is, I'm not certain. Not that we need to know. But what I said was, if you were any attorney and you went before a judge and you're like, well, hey, judge, I got A through F and I got, I, J, K, and L here. The judge is like, all right, where's G and H? Oh, well, I'm not sure, judge. Well, then why are you coming to me?
Yeah.
I can't rule if I need all of it. I don't get to suppose that something is in there, or that you get to tell me what you think it is. If I'm going to rule against the NCAA, I'm going to need to know what it is that they have and what you have and what I need. And they didn't have it. Now they do. Whatever it is.
Interesting.
So if you will.
Because I thought we'd heard that they had absolutely everything that they needed.
And I think they've, as best I can tell, they've now had everything for at least 10, 11, 12 days.
Okay. Well.
So.
So maybe that's the time to go ahead and get the attorney involved to finish it.
Yeah. Look, last Monday? No, last Tuesday, Shane had a press conference. And he said then he knew that the NCAA, had everything they needed. That the last piece of the puzzle had been put into place, at least in terms of the information that they were going to use to make a decision. So I suppose Darren Heitner has basically today, as I put in my Twitter feed to do like little show prep, I think today he drew a line in the sand. It's been at least a week. Let's put it that way. But it sounds like the last pieces of information got to the NCAA, again, Friday a week ago. So, again, 10, 11 days ago.
Shouldn't take that long. Shouldn't take 6, 7, 8 months.
And the last conversation I had with somebody around the program, they were very, they have to be polite. I suppose that some of us don't have to.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I was told is we know for certain that there are others at other schools that, and other sports that are also attempting to get some things figured out when it comes to their eligibility.
Do we really care?
Right.
We're primary.
Right.
We're focused.
But that's you kid, but I get you. And one of the things I've said too, that's why, look, this isn't just about giving Rasul Faison one more year to play. It's about just making a decision. If it's a negative decision, at least you've made a decision, and this young man can get on with his life.
Exactly.
And now, a lot of the things that could have been in front of him will have to be paused if he doesn't get eligible.
Yeah.
Because he's certainly...
And that's not fair.
No. I mean, listen, even if you wanted to be an undrafted free agent in the NFL, you got to do that in April. Maybe you can do it at mini camps. But if you're trying to do that by the time July camps open, they've already made their decisions. They've already seen a lot of those kids at those mini camps. They've already told some of them, thank you, good luck to you, and the rest of them, we'll see you in July. So to try to come in and do that, no matter how good you might be. Now, look, if you could go dazzle them, but...
That's still...
So it's a tough spot. And a lot of people have asked, well, what does he do if he doesn't get it? I was like, I don't know. I mean, do you sue him for saying you took away a year of my life? Do you just bide your time with a personal trainer and go play in the what I like to call the USXFL, because I don't really know what it's called anymore?
Talk to Preston. I think he's big on one of those teams.
I don't know which one it is. Can't go to Canada till next year because their season's almost over.
Yeah, good point.
So
yeah.
Anyway,
so hard.
Lots to get to. And again, John Whittle will join us with more from camp, the scrimmage, the things that he has learned. And John and I might talk about Arsenal's win at Manchester United yesterday. I do want to talk to Jen about a couple of things, including her Bears. And what she thinks of her home state, Illini, even though you've now lived here like over half your life.
Yeah, but that is actually where one of my sisters and one of my nephews went to school. So
I just wondered, okay, good. So do they want this to become, because it kind of became a thing, obviously, and now really every poll you look at, Illinois is like one spot ahead of Carolina.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really annoying.
So,
and for the family dynamic, it's annoying, but we'll talk about that.
We'll get into that for you. I'll come back on the other side, too. News out of baseball has prompted today's start bench drop. I will give you the category and the choices when the postgame show returns. 20 minutes after 3 o'clock here on a Monday afternoon. Welcome back into the postgame show. Jay Phillips, Jen Jensen hanging out today in for Terry. Terry is moving his youngest into college. Good luck. And,
Tears?
probably not from him, probably from Mom. And I do understand up that way that it is really hot. So good luck.
Oh, all right. Terry sweating it out.
Man, I told the story, and I won't do it again. But two years ago, when we moved my number 3 daughter, age not ranking as Elijah likes to say, into her dorm in Athens. I swear it was like 90 something, and the heat index was like 137. And I did take a second shirt. The other day, we were moving my youngest into her dorm, and I took a third shirt. That's smart.
Very smart. And how was the weather?
Not as hot, but I get hot real fast. Like real fast.
Okay. So you should really be wearing like a cool vest when you're doing this.
Probably. Or, go shirtless like Gronk. But I figured that was probably frowned upon.
Think your daughter appreciates that you did not make that choice?
And my wife. And the people around me.
Yeah, all the way around. Good call.
Thanks. You learn. You learn.
Well, if you did it with the first daughter,
Yeah. You learn these things. So, real quick, a little news note. It hasn't happened yet, obviously, but Rob Manfred, the commissioner of Major League Baseball, was being interviewed during the Mets-Mariners game. They played a game up in Williamsport, not on the Little League field. Wouldn't that be something? But amongst the issues that were discussed with the commissioner of baseball was expansion. And he would like to at least have the 2 new cities announced, like I think within the next 3 years. I believe he's sort of set his own retirement date for 2029. Now, that doesn't mean that they would start playing by then, but simply that the process of selecting 2 new cities would be done. And then he says what baseball would like to do is geographically realign. Whatever that might look like. And now, I'll be honest with y'all. I know we've seen a few like Houston and Milwaukee change leagues and things like that. I wouldn't want to see wholesale changes of leagues. I think that would not be great. I mean, here or there, perhaps, but I'll be perfectly honest with you. I'd like the Braves to continue to play the Phillies and the Mets and maybe Washington, not necessarily the Marlins. But I don't know. I don't know. But I would not be happy if the Braves got taken away from the Phillies and the Mets, because I think those have become things. If they do, they do, But anyway, that prompted me today to come up with this start, bench, drop. Which of these, so start, bench, drop, Major League Baseball expansion, NBA expansion, NFL expansion. So start, bench, drop. And for some of you, it might be like, I don't think any of them need to expand. But that's not an option. So you still got to start, bench, and drop something.
Because otherwise the show's over. See ya.
Yeah, that's right. So start, bench, drop, Major League expansion, NBA expansion, NFL expansion. The commissioner said, and I was surprised that he was as public with it, but maybe it's an effort to just make sure that either these 2 cities do everything they need to do, or to tell other cities, hey, we got front runners. Do y'all want in? But he mentioned Nashville and Salt Lake City. Nashville is not at all a surprise. In fact, the only surprise for me with Nashville and Major League Baseball expansion is if they do not get one of the teams, because I think Nashville is fully prepared for it, and it makes a lot of sense. Nashville makes a lot of sense for a Major League Baseball team. Other cities in this country, I think it's harder. Salt Lake City is the only other big city in the Mountain Time Zone that has Major League sports. Obviously, it's not as big as Denver, but it's a big city, and now it's got, it's had NBA for a long, long time. Now it's got NHL, and it does at least have, the Utes. So there's big-time college sports there, too. And I think they have a pretty good history with their AAA. They're going to have the Winter Olympics again. So it's a great sports town. And Provo's not that far away with BYU fans and things like that. So, I think they're used to it, and they could probably handle it. It's a pretty big city. Again, I think it's in that Charlotte kind of Pittsburgh-sized realm. Portland, Oregon, I've seen. Montreal has at least expressed interest in coming back into the baseball fold. I just don't know. There's a whole lot of places where you could do it. I've heard San Antonio and Austin, but I wonder, because I think San Antonio had at least at some point in time expressed interest in the NFL. And from everything I gathered, Jerry Jones was like, over my dead body. Now, he's getting older, but would the same thing be in play for the ownership groups with the Rangers and the Astros? I don't know. Do they want another team in Texas? They being the rest of baseball's ownership? I don't know. But where else? It's just there's not a lot of cities left. And from what I'm told, Oakland is not going to get another team. I think baseball's relationship with Oakland I think that bridge has been burned. I don't know what other cities could really handle it. You've put a team in Washington. You put a team in Tampa. I don't think Jacksonville, again, do you need a third team in Florida, especially in Braves country? No. So, anyway, we'll see. But I was surprised that he was so public with those cities. But start, bench, drop, Major League Baseball expansion, NBA expansion, NFL expansion. A lot of you as well. Chris Clark did a good job of this, and I talked to my good friend David Cloninger about it. We've all been trying to do a little bit more digging on the Gamecocks apparel deal. It does expire next year, and last week, of course, University of Tennessee announced its new partnership with Adidas, and that prompted a lot of Gamecock fans to say, well, what are we going to do? And I know there's been unrest amongst Gamecock Nation for several years with Under Armour, and Under Armour is not as powerful as it was, a few years back, and that has a lot of fans kind of skittish about exactly what might happen if Carolina were to re-up with Under Armour, only to see Under Armour continue to slide a little bit. But from everything I gather, and again, Chris put a lot of this out, and I knew some of this last week too. Even if you signed a big deal with somebody, Adidas, Nike, whomever, or not even signed a deal, but came to an agreement, Under Armour gets right of first refusal. So they can match it.
Yeah.
And, what does that look like? So there's no news on it. But I think a lot of fans are really like kind of chomping at the bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are we going to do about this? It expires next year. They need, and I am told they are actively pursuing this. There are prior relationships with some of the new athletics department staff and Nike from their previous stops. How much of a difference that makes, I do not know.
So we can't come up with our own brand and start designing something?
Oh, you can.
It's the J&J apparel. Oh, my gosh. We have something going.
Well, because look, at this point, all I would do is just say, just keep that George Rogers uniform. That's all that's all I care about.
Yeah.
And good shoes.
Go back. Yeah.
Good shoes.
And that's the thing you hear sometimes about how the comfort of the shoes is not there.
Right.
Especially, I think, with the Under Armour, that's been a little less comfortable.
That's been a thing.
So that needs to be taken into consideration.
I remember the first couple of years of the Under Armour deal going way back, men's basketball basically got some type of waiver, for lack of a better word, to keep wearing Nikes for a couple of years. Because the shoes were literally blowing out. So,
yeah.
John Whittle on the other side of the break. We'll get into some Gamecock camp thoughts with Mr. Whittle. You are listening to the Monday postgame show. 26 minutes in front of 4 o'clock on this Monday. Welcome back in. Jay Phillips. Jen Jensen hanging out today. Terry is out moving his youngest into college. Jen kind enough after an early morning with Coach P and Elijah to make her way back here and put up with me, too.
Isn't Terry always out, kind of?
Well,
at least mentally.
I wasn't going to say it.
Oh, sorry. Was my mic on? Dag nabbit.
One person who is always completely checked in is our very good friend John Whittle on the beat for the Big Spur. He, like me, very excited after Arsenal's 1-0 opening win on the road yesterday against United. And that makes everything better this week. How are you, sir? Good to have you back.
I mean, like South Carolina found out last year against Old Dominion. Sometimes it may not be pretty, but you take the W and move on. Right?
You win. That's it. Just win the game. Let me start you. I'll read it verbatim here. Darren Heitner, the attorney hired by Rasul Faison. Dear NCAA, the start of the season is days away. You have everything you need to determine if Rasul is eligible. Don't force our hand. Hashtag free Sewell. John, how much of a shot across the bow do you see this as?
Well, I think he's planning on tariffing the NCAA, if I'm right on that. No, I think he is certainly trying to exert a little bit of influence as you get here into the 11th hour. But, yeah, it's certainly when somebody's speaking up for you on your behalf who is got a voice in situations like this, then, you know, it might add a little bit of pressure, but, you know, we'll see what ends up coming about. There's been a lot of positivity around the situation here lately, and it feels like South Carolina will get a favorable ruling, but you never know until it's actually done.
Yeah, that's the intel I got last week was a feeling that they, you know, as I said, they aren't up there going, let's see how we can screw this kid over. I think it's honestly the opposite, and I think maybe you're getting that same kind of info, John, that I think they understand the case that's being made, but until they do have all these puzzle pieces, as I've been saying a lot, put into place, the NCAA, just can't do it. We shall see. In the meantime, scrimmage number 2 over the weekend, from what I understand, the weather got involved, so they moved some of it indoors, but got a little bit of bad weather work too. But otherwise, we haven't learned a lot. How much more did you learn about what was accomplished on Saturday's scrimmage?
Yeah, you're right. It just never has quite the same feel when you go indoors and when you get to play in the stadium. But you know they still got a lot of good work in over there, and it sounded like, from what I was able to gather, you know, a little bit better day for the offense, but not necessarily a bad day for the defense. You know, I know sometimes folks try to you know make one really good and one be the opposite. So, you know, I'm not sure that I'd go that far. I think the defensive staff overall was pretty pleased. But you never really know until the ball kicks off. But, you know, I think at the end of the day that, from what I've been able to gather, just in general, taking Saturday out of it, I think the coaching staff is pretty happy with what they've been able to accomplish over these first 17 days. The players have today off, I believe, and we'll get back at it tomorrow. But, you know, over those first 17 days or so of practice, the sense I get has been very positive in general.
What have you – I know a couple of weeks ago, last time we had you on, as this camp was getting ready to start, we talked about maybe those position groups that were the most concerning. You and I agreed that at least at that point, linebacker might be it, and these are certainly all quite debatable. What more, I'll just start you there, what more are we learning about that group? Again, deep, talented, not necessarily experienced. How much more quickly have they come around from what you've gathered?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got 4 that you feel pretty good about right now, and I don't know if maybe that's considered deep or not. I mean, it's good enough, especially if you're able to keep everybody healthy, but you feel good about Fred Johnson. You feel good about Sean Murphy. I think those 2 guys are probably your starters right now. If I'm guessing, John Willis, don't sleep on him, and Justin Okoronkwo. I mean, both of those guys are, I think, very good in a backup role. So I do feel like the linebacker situation is at least in a pretty good spot from a depth standpoint. You know, if you have a fifth linebacker, I mean, I think you probably need one. You know, is it going to be one of your freshmen or one of your walk-ons who have been around for a while? And you know, Donovan Darden was the highest-rated player in the class by 24/7 Sports. You know, he might have a chance to get in there. You know, maybe a Tayshawn Alston. Not Tayshawn Alston, excuse me. But there may be another guy who's a little bit older, who's been around. Maybe a Colin Bryant who's played some on special teams. But you know, it's that's a position to watch, and defensive end too is another that I kind of have circled. Is you know, you wonder how that's going to end up shaking out.
Talking to our good friend John Whittle of the Big Spur, Gamecocks held their second scrimmage of August camp over the weekend. Coach Beamer will have more reflection upon what happened tomorrow, and we'll have that for you here on the station and more throughout the day tomorrow. All right, I'm not putting you on the spot per se, but we just hit linebackers, and again, you and I had talked about that a couple of weeks ago. So let me go to maybe a second group that you're looking at. There's concern over. Again, you can have concern almost everywhere on this team except for maybe Lenoris and Dylan Stewart, right? But from a position group standpoint, what's next on your list, and in terms of how they're coming along?
Yeah, I mean, I wonder about defensive end and worry about them a little bit. I mean, you recruited Jaylen Brown to come in and be a dude pretty quickly, and you know that's not going to come to fruition. You know, with his injury, you know, I feel pretty good about Brian Thomas Jr. on one side and Dylan Stewart obviously on the other. But you know, we've focused so much on the defensive tackles, and you think so positively about Dylan Stewart, but then you don't necessarily think too much about what's behind them. And Desmond Umeozulu, he hasn't really made much of an impact his first couple of years. He's a guy, Jatius Gear, hasn't been able to stay healthy since he's been here, missed time early on, banged up a little bit. He could be a guy who's out there, but are you going to keep him healthy? You've recruited a couple of players who have just been okay in terms of how they've produced, in their previous stops, like a George Wilson or a Demon Clowney. It's just that to me is probably my biggest question mark on the team, if I'm being honest, is the two end positions.
When it comes to offensive line, fans across the country, this isn't unique to Carolina fans, John, always worry about that, and I certainly get it. You do too. But I have gone into this camp looking at that depth chart and really have, at least I've made myself believe, that's a solid unit. There's some interchangeable positions, and you might want to solidify a few things, but what are you getting from the ball club itself in terms of how they feel, not just about a front five, but maybe, 4 or 5 guys behind them as well?
Yeah, I mean, this is the most depth they've had, the most talented depth, and most experienced depth. I mean, just the whole nine. I mean, you feel really good about that position in general. We've talked about having depth along the O-line before, but usually that depth includes a couple of true freshmen who you think are going to be really good, or maybe 3 true freshmen who are going to be really good. And, this group, you start looking at the guys who are probably going to be backups, and those guys have been starters before, either here at other institutions. And, that's when you're starting to build some depth. I mean, I was reading on the Big Spur message boards today, one of the guys had Jatavius Shivers projected as a third teamer at tackle, and I mean that guy played a lot last year. And if he's third team, like those 2 guys in front of him have got to be pretty darn good, right? So, I think they're very content with where they are, both from a talent standpoint and a depth standpoint. I think Josiah Thompson has made a lot of strides. I think they're very happy with the growth that the players who are coming back have made, but they're also very happy with the guys that they've brought in and how those guys have kind of integrated into all this, whether it's a Boaz Stanley or whether it's a Nick Sharp or whether it's a Nolan Hay. Shedrick Surratt out of Gaffney, he's a freshman who's making some noise too, and maybe able to end up being a starter, or at least a contributor. on the offensive line this year as a true freshman. So if you have a freshman in there who's making a little bit of noise too with some of these guys who have been multi-year starters either at South Carolina or other places, I mean, that's a great thing.
Yeah,
right?
Not bad. Not bad. Good stuff as always, sir. I appreciate you. We'll do it again real soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you having me, Jay. Thank you, Jen, for sitting in there with Terry as well.
I'm happy to.
That's John Whittle. John M. Whittle on Twitter. BigSpur.com is the website. Update on the Irmo Little Leaguers when the postgame show returns. All right, welcome back in. Post-game show rolling on here on a Monday. Jay and Jen with you. Terry is away today. Thanks to our good friend John Whittle for joining us. Today's start bench drop. Got a few of you already hitting us up. Start bench drop, Major League Baseball expansion, NBA expansion, NFL expansion. This one prompted by the commissioner over the weekend talking about Major League Baseball expansion. Major League Baseball is going to expand to 32 teams. It's a matter of when and where. And it won't, he said, be Oakland. Again, I think that relationship is done for now. So start bench drop, baseball expansion, NBA expansion, NFL expansion. Rocky wanted to talk to us right when John Whittle was coming on, so he kind enough to join us now after Mr. Whittle. Rocky, how you doing, bud?
Hello, Jay, and I actually got another question, but I remember in 2017, this is what prompted me. I remember moving my daughter into the University of South Carolina Honors College dorm in 2017, and Jay, I swear to goodness, it was the hottest day of the year.
Carolina should go to some other schedule where you don't have to move people in August.
And
or be like 3 a.m., you know?
But God bless her, she went on to, and then sitting also in the same heat in Williams-Brice Stadium for graduation, and then she goes on to MUSC, and she's got her doctorate in physical therapy and lives in Atlanta now. So
she didn't trade the heat.
Yeah, that's the story.
No, man, listen, I can sweat in the freezer. So when you have to do it for real, and it's, as I like to say, it's a scene, man. It's a scene.
What's up? Tell me, I'm listening. The Big Ten and what they want to do the 7755222
right,
whatever, sounds like a telephone number.
Yeah.
What I don't know. What are they? This is just stuff they're putting out there.
I think it is to some degree, and for those listening, what Rocky's mentioning, and I'll get into this more next hour, but I'll start the ball rolling now. Big Ten. Yeah, go ahead, Rock.
Okay,
okay, I got you. Yeah, I'll do my best here in about a minute to explain it, and we'll get into it more on the other side. But the Big Ten, I think this is a trial balloon. To Rocky's point, I think this is a trial balloon. But they, listen, y'all, all of you now pretty much know the Big Ten is the only holdout for automatic qualifiers. They want the 4-4-2-2-1-3 model. They also want the SEC to go to 9 games. I don't think they care as much whether the ACC goes to 9 conference games, that is, of course. But now, and what they want is television shows. And they do. It'll take me too long here to get into it, but they have floated out something that is very unwieldy, in my personal opinion. But stay tuned, top of the hour. I'll have more detail on it. As promised, give you an update. The Irmo Little Leaguers at the Little League World Series are taking on a team from out west. Actually, I think it's a team from Nevada. Right now, no score. Today, the South Carolina kids, the Irmo kids, are the visitor. Remember the other day they won 13-0. But right now, they are top 3, 1 on, 1 out, no score. So this one is not like last time, when by now they were rolling right along. So this team from Nevada is clearly better than the team they saw from Massachusetts the other day. But the Irmo kids, no score, 1 on, 1 out, top 3. Keep you updated. But now it gets a little nervy.
I know. I'm so excited for them. I really would love to see them go deep.
That's cool. We'll see. But it looks like both pitchers are dealing. They're 12, so I want to be careful with that.
Right, exactly. But I'll tell you what, I love watching the Little League World Series, and there have been some really dynamic plays. These kids are good.
Yeah. No, they are, because they're basically all-star teams, from their areas and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's But we'll see. But yeah, now 2 out. Kid just struck out one of the Irmo hitters. So 2 out, 1 on, top 3, no score. Keep you posted. Yeah, Big Ten floating an idea for the college football playoff that is not just expansion. It's something bigger than that. And speaking of expansion, start, bench, drop, Major League Baseball expansion, NBA expansion, NFL expansion, have some more thoughts on that too. Jay and Jen on this Monday. It's the postgame show. All right, 4 o'clock on this Monday. Welcome back in. Post-game show rolling on. Jay Phillips, Jen Jensen hanging out today. Really thankful for Jen volunteering to come in.
I really did volunteer. That wasn't a fib.
That's nice. That's nice. Elijah did it a couple of weeks ago. You did it today.
Now, if
I'm like Sally Field back. They like me.
They really like me. Yeah. Now, had it been Terry in here, like that, you were out and Terry was here, I might have been sick.
Well, and again, Elijah did volunteer, but I did pay him. As I said, I paid him in a case of beer of his choosing.
Wow, so that was even nicer.
He made sure it was the expensive stuff.
I was gonna say, the boy ain't stupid now.
No, he's not.
Yeah, not a hat rack.
That's right. Yeah, like Joey says, not just a hat rack, my friend. So I did offer Jen earlier for those listening, or that they didn't hear earlier. She's only going to be here today. Terry will be back tomorrow.
Yep.
But Elijah was here 3 days, a couple weeks ago. So by my math, that's 8 beers a day. I offered to buy Jen 8 beers, and she said no.
Yeah.
She's good.
I'm okay. Yeah.
And again, something to hold over Terry's head for later.
That's really what I'm going to get
Keep
out
that
of this.
chip for the big game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mama didn't raise no fool.
That's right. That's right. Let me try to get into this a little bit. First off, start bench drop today. We got a few of you. Let me get to a couple. Today's start bench drop again prompted by the Commissioner of Major League Baseball, Rob Manfred, discussing expansion during the Little League Classic. I think that's what they call it. I don't know. But the Mariners played the Mets. And he talked about expansion before, like at least the expansion cities being announced before he leaves his job in 3 or 4 years. Not that they start playing in 3 or 4 years. And that if they can get it done the right way, then they would also like to geographically realign, because then you'd have 32 teams. So you could do what the NFL's doing and have 8 4-team divisions and set your playoffs up accordingly, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what that looks like geographically for the Braves. That's my only thing. Like, with all due respect, I don't think I want to be in a division, and this is going to sound mean. I don't intend
But I know where you're going.
I don't want to be in a division with, like, Nashville, Miami, and Tampa.
No.
That just sounds, yeah.
I mean, that doesn't really, no, you want to stick with people like the Mets and
I want the
such.
Mets and the Phillies to stay in there. Whoever else you give me, that's cool. Washington, I don't know. So but I just, that's not appealing to me. And I don't want to see just a bunch of movement for the sake of movement in and out of the National League and American League. I think, the Dodgers and the Giants need to stay in the same, and the Padres need to stay in the same division. The Yankees and the Orioles and the Red Sox need to stay in the same division. Let's not mess with stuff.
No, the Braves already stink enough as it is. I mean, they're.
Hey.
Just kidding. Coming from a Cubs fan, I can't say much as we
the Cubs
continue to get.
Good. No, Cubs
we were till the Brewers started really finding.
You know who the second hottest team in baseball is right now? The Atlanta Braves.
Are they really?
Yeah.
I guess I didn't realize that.
Because the Brewers just had their streak ended.
Yeah, that's true, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, but the Braves have won 8 of 10. Man, break up the Atlanta Braves.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a thing. I'm still a fan.
Yeah.
Now, that's the good news. The bad news is the Braves are still 12 games under 500 and have no shot at the playoffs. But at least going into the final stretch of the season, they're playing better ball.
Yeah, and that is encouraging because,
they're getting healthy, and maybe some like Ozzie Albies is having a couple of good runs. But anyway, I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole, but because I could just sit here and lament how bad the Brave season has been. But and the commissioner did, before I get into the start bench drop, Commissioner Manfred did say Nashville and Salt Lake City were sort of the leaders in the clubhouse. And both of those, to me, make a lot of sense. Nashville, I think, is a no-brainer. I think Nashville is the perfect expansion city. I don't know if there's another one, because Nashville just has a blend of everything. Geography, the demographics.
Kind of like Vegas, they just keep.
Well, Vegas is getting one.
Oh, there. Okay.
They're getting the A's.
That. Okay.
Yeah, they're getting the A's. And so then that would be, you'd have the Rockies, the A's, and somebody in Salt Lake City. So the mountain region would be well taken care of, I think.
But you're right. To me, Nashville is similar in nature, or they.
Yeah, and look, as why I was asking earlier, like Montreal makes sense, but do they want a team again? I don't know. They like hockey, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
And it's hard to go from swinging a stick and swinging a bat. So
listen, you know, in the 80s and early 90s, the Expos were good.
Yeah, they were.
They were good.
Yeah.
I mean, in fact, like Tim Wallach was a Braves killer. And the year that the Bigs went on strike in 94, the Expos had like a 10-game lead on the Braves. And then it just went away.
Wow.
You know? I mean, they were good that season. So I felt bad for them when things finally, but they had an old ballpark. They weren't going to build a new ballpark because it has to be a dome because it's just too bleeping cold until like May.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so the first month of the year, you just, you know, you needed it. And remember, they moved into a park when they were a team that was the Olympic Stadium because they had the
That's
Olympics.
right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it'll be Montreal again. I don't think Vancouver's not going to get a team. And I don't know that they're really interested in having another Pacific time zone team.
No.
Mountain.
This is interesting to ponder.
Yeah.
I will say.
But anyway, that prompted me to go to Start Bench Drop, Major League Baseball expansion, NBA expansion, NFL expansion. We have a really funny one here. I want to get to this real quick. Hang on, let me get to it. Where was it? David, this was funny. David says, start Major League Baseball expansion, bench NBA expansion, drop NFL expansion. I don't need the London Redcoats as an NFL team.
Well, and you heard the big pitch where an ambassador or something from London, they want
a Super Bowl.
They want a Super Bowl there. No.
I look, I'm not saying I want one. Here's the thing. If you were going to have a Super Bowl in London, it's probably going to have to start at like 9 o'clock London time. That's 4 o'clock Eastern and 1 o'clock Pacific. That's not the worst thing in the world.
No.
But it's not great either.
No.
And for London folk, like, hey, you're going to the Super Bowl? Yeah, it starts at 9. Or like really, 9:15, 9:20.
Yeah.
And you know, now you could have a really cool British rock act or some such as your halftime show. That'd be fine.
Yeah.
You know, Coldplay or Oasis or something. Although the Oasis boys would just get in a fight.
Right. Break up.
Just get a big Beatles cover band.
But, and I think about all of what Americans are used to doing as far as tailgating goes and the full day of parties and that would just squash that whole industry.
I mean,
you know?
you would change it again. It would change it by a couple hours.
Yeah.
But I've often wondered, like for people that live out west, the Super Bowl starts at 3:15.
Well, that's true too. Yeah.
Again, it's 1 o'clock is different than 3 o'clock, but like they have an afternoon party. So I don't know, but
it's already expensive enough to go to the Super Bowl. So then,
I think it's the other logistics, and I also think that there'd be maybe some pushback from some in America, like, man, this is ours. Like, because somebody said to me last year, I was talking this with a buddy of mine, like the Champions League final wouldn't come to America.
No,
like, no, it would not.
No.
I you know, now if you stroke a big enough check, I could see him putting it in New York or Miami or something. I could see it.
You and my son would go.
But I don't. Yeah. Oh man, it would. And they would sell it out in 5 seconds.
Oh, look what they sold out.
Yeah.
You know, in Columbia.
But if you said the Champions League final was coming to America and it was going to be in New York City,
man.
tickets gone in 5 minutes. Yeah. And the StubHub numbers would be through the roof.
They might sell even faster than Taylor Swift.
They might, at least as fast. But again, what would that look like in London? I have no idea.
Yeah.
A Super Bowl, that is. I have no idea, and I don't know that there'd be any other city where you would do it because they've got a great stadium, you know, and they're used to big events.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, you know, to come back around to it, to the London Redcoats, I don't think you'll have to worry about the London Redcoats, David, because I think if London gets a team, it's going to be Jacksonville, and they'll just, instead of calling them the Jaguars, they'll just be the Jaguars, the Jaguars.
Oh my gosh! And then all I'm going to do is, you know, flashback to Austin Powers movies. You know, so.
And I've said before, I'm not kidding about this. The owner of the Jaguars, Shad Khan, and his family own one of London's Premier League teams, Fulham. So they've got a foothold in the London sports scene already.
Foothold or foothold? Sorry.
And I told Terry, like, look up their stadium. Their stadium is like literally, when I say it's on the river, like it's not floating on the river, but their stadium is right on the Thames. And if you could find a way to buy the land around it, either expand that for a football team, American football team, or just, I don't know, because where they play it is too small now for NFL because I think it only holds like 20,000,
No.
25,000. It's just not big enough. But anyway, we'll see. But that's funny, David. But I don't think you have to worry about the London Redcoats. But you might. I don't know. Michael says, our good friend Michael Geddes, Integrated Media, start NBA expansion. He says Nashville and Seattle. Okay. Bench NFL expansion, drop Major League Baseball. He says MLB just needs to get TV deals where you can watch games, then worry about expanding. That's fair. That's fair. And we've got a few more here, but Jason says start Major League Baseball expansion, bench NBA, drop NFL. So we'll get you to hit us up on the text line throughout the course of the afternoon with more of those. All right, let me get to work on this because I promised I would, and we'll continue over in the next segment here too. The Big Ten has apparently floated a pretty good size trial balloon that could see a college football playoff expand to as many as 28 schools. According to Ralph Russo of The Athletic, it was presented to Big Ten ADs last week. Right now, Power 4 conference commissioners have not had anything more than what he calls cursory discussions about a massive postseason expansion, and nothing, he says, has been presented to any other conference or to Notre Dame at this point. Ralph also reports the Big Ten was expected to send a slide deck with some details to the SEC later this week. And again, he mentions, like I just said, it's basically a trial balloon. I don't know how you get into some of this. I'll be perfectly honest with you. But a 28-team field, let me just read this verbatim, okay? A 28-team field would include 4 first-round byes and a second round of games played entirely at home stadiums. A 24-team field would have 8 byes and 2 rounds of home games. First-round games could be organized to emphasize matchups between teams in different conferences. The plan would be an extension of the intra-conference play-in game idea with matchups across conferences as play-in games. He also says a playoff this big would require restructuring of conference television deals that now include championship games, creating new broadcast inventory in return for eliminating showdowns between the league's top 2 teams. A change this significant would be difficult to put into place for 2026, even if conferences could reach an agreement over the next few months. So, yeah. Oh, they'll make money. They'll make money. And that's what all this is about. There's no question there. The difference I think we have right now, Tony Petitti got to the Big Ten after having run Major League Baseball, the MLB network. So not just working as a higher-up within the MLB structure, but literally running the television network. The point is, he's a TV guy. That's not a bad thing. They hired him for that, to be perfectly honest with you. But the point is, that's where he comes from. Greg Sankey, otherwise, is, a conference commissioner lifer. He was at the SEC for many, many years before he took over for Commissioner Mike Slive. He was at the Southland Conference before that. And this is just what Greg has done. Jim Phillips has been in collegiate administration. Brett Yormark has more of a business background in the Big 12. So there's a blend there. But Tony Petitti has basically admitted, without admitting it, if you will, that his plan for automatic qualifiers for the Big Ten is to enhance their television product because it would create play-in games. I'll come back with a few more details, see what y'all think about this. And again, start, bench, drop. You can hit us on the text line, 803-404-6100, Firehouse Subs text line, or hit me on Twitter. Start, bench, drop. Major League Baseball expansion, NBA expansion, NFL expansion. I'll have more on the Gamecocks, too, throughout the day. You're listening to the postgame show.
Really love to see you tonight.
All right, welcome back in. Post-game show rolling on. We had somebody on the text line take a minor issue with my time zoning. So I want Jen to read this real quick, and I'm sorry to say in advance that the person texting, no, but go ahead.
Okay, it says, Jay, 9 a.m. UK time would be 2 p.m. East Coast. Could easily do noon, 5 p.m. East, 8 p.m. West.
Yeah, that's the reverse.
Yeah.
Again, and what I said was 9 p.m., but no, 9 a.m. in the UK would be 4 a.m. in the United States East time zone, not 2 p.m. 2 p.m. in England, if you will, would be 9 a.m. here where I'm sitting.
Yes.
I called for a 9 p.m. If
9 p.m. start.
And then for those
London.
so we don't confuse people too much, I made mention that, one day, because there was someone called for, like, hey, we'd love to have a Super Bowl in London. I don't think it'll ever happen, but it's certainly plausible. But I said you'd probably have to kick at 9 p.m. UK time, London time.
To accommodate the U.S.
So, yeah, and then that would be 4 p.m. East Coast, East time zone, and then 1 p.m. out West, and you can do the math in between. But no, 9 a.m. in London, in England, in the UK, would be 4 a.m. here.
Yes.
And according to what Jen told me, but the person that's texting this says they're English, and I'm like, well,
he says he's English.
Well, then, bro, I don't know when you call your folks, but
they're probably not happy with you.
Yeah, but 9 a.m. in England is not. I repeat, not 2 p.m. in America.
Yeah. Don't confuse us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's all good.
Like, I don't know what to say about that other than, and trust me, how do I know so much about this? I watch a lot of Premier League.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I mean,
it's all about you
when I say a lot, like a lot.
It's a frightening amount.
And not just Premier League. Like, I know that, like England is 5 hours, but the rest of the continent basically is 6 hours. So I got to, like, for Champions League games, I got to adjust for that too.
Oh, yeah. So I'm just real curious, real quick on soccer. My son is a Tottenham fan.
Oh, that's his fault.
Yeah.
Well, because I'm an Arsenal fan. That's their right. That's like Carolina Clemson.
That's okay. That's what I thought.
Only they're like 3 miles apart.
I've learned some interesting things about some of the stadiums, and I know a little about the coach and all that. So, but yeah, so you guys really would be bitter rivals.
My wife is a Tottenham fan.
Oh.
Michael Haney is a Tottenham fan. Elijah is a Tottenham fan.
I'm learning. Okay. And I think Preston, when he decided he had to pick a team, I don't think he did as much research as he did when he chose the Falcons about a week ago.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, so he's a Tottenham fan now, too?
I think, yeah.
It's unfortunate.
I know. You ever feel ganged up on?
Well, here's the good news. Arsenal's a lot better than them.
This is true. But there's hope. They're younger.
So there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Arsenal's had the upper hand the last couple of seasons. So that's been nice. No score still. The Irmo Little Leaguers against a team from Nevada. We're now in the top of the fifth.
Uh-oh.
And, again, it's tight, man. No score.
That's amazing. And they play 6 innings, so.
Correct. So we could go to extras.
Wow. That's awesome.
They don't have a shootout, do they?
I don't know.
Little League.
Need to call my
home run derby?
Call somebody
like
up
they
there.
Did in the All-Star game?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I did see something about the extra innings where, they'll put somebody on second base and, start the
I don't
inning
like
way.
that.
I don't either.
I don't like
Just
that.
play it normal.
Yeah, just play baseball. That's what baseball's supposed to be. Anyway, coming back around, the Big Ten, if you just tuned in, the Big Ten last week floating ideas to their athletics directors, and it's now leaked. And again, I think the leak is intentional. It's a trial balloon to find out what the college football public would think of a 20, potentially up to 28 school playoff. I think the vast majority of you already think that 16 is too many. Some of you even still don't like the 12 and think 4 was plenty, and I get that. I think we're going to go to 16. But one of the things that was interesting in here, and I do like this, because the Big Ten, honestly, y'all, I think a huge part of what the Big Ten is doing is they want play-in games. They really want inventory for Fox or Peacock or whomever, CBS, doesn't matter. They want extra inventory, and they want not only extra inventory, they want extra exclusive big-time inventory. And let's be perfectly honest, whether we want these things or not, in the SEC, in the Big Ten, if there are play-in games that are approved and then played, we're going to watch those because they're going to get you into the playoff. We're going to watch them, and they become playoff games themselves, don't they? So I mean, we can sit here and moan about it until we're blue in the face, but we will watch them. But again, going back to Ralph Russo's piece in the Athletic this morning, he said some SEC administrators didn't like the idea that Big Ten teams would be playing into the bracket by playing each other. And all he says is he cites an SEC athletic director that he spoke with a few weeks back, said, quote, if there was a play-in between the SEC and the Big Ten, I think a lot more people would be on board with it. And I'll be perfectly honest, I had not thought about that. How cool might that be? If instead of having the conference participants, you would still line, because basically what would happen right now, let's just use the Big Ten and the plan they have. The Big Ten would still have 1 versus 2 play for the Big Ten championship. But then 3, 4, 5, and 6, under the plan that Tony Petitti was most in favor of, 3 would play 6, 4 would play 5. The winners would also be in the college football playoff. What if instead, I suppose, some are saying, you did the same thing in the SEC. 1 and 2 will play for the SEC championship, but then the 3s play the 3s and so on down the line, and you get the rest of the participants. 3 plays 3, or do you just have 3? I guess you'd have to have 3 and 3 and 4 and 4, and you wouldn't have 5 and 6 because you only have so many slots. But that would be pretty cool if the third-place finisher of the SEC played the third-place finisher of the Big Ten for a right to go to the playoff. I just think this is the kind of thing that is going to, I don't want to say revive postseason play, but I think this is, these are the kind of matchups. Look, let's just take the Carolina-Illinois game as the most recent example, right? Gamecocks had some kids sit out. The Illini had some kids sit out. And we see this now. This is the norm. This is the new norm. If your game isn't as impactful and you are someone who has a legitimate opportunity at the next level in a few months, everything you can do to, again, mitigate that risk to your body, you got to do. And I get it. There's so much money at stake. Now, you can maybe further incentivize some of these kids to hang around with a bowl game bonus check, and I think we are probably going to head that way to some degree. But, I mean, ask yourself this. If I wrote you a $100,000 check and you got hurt and you could have made $10 million, that $100,000 don't do that much. Even if you could make $2 million, that $100,000 doesn't do that much. It's something. I'm not going to sit here and say that $100,000 is no big deal. And I don't know what that might look like in terms of what those incentives would be. But if you want more games that matter, or you want kids to stay in school and play in these kinds of big-time environments, this is where we are. A playoff format, not New Year's Day bowl games. I mean, I hate to say it as much as anybody. Unless we return New Year's Day to nothing but playoff games and find a way, or that's where the championship game is played or some such. What a lot of us grew up with on January 1st is dead. And that's just the reality. You know, I wish we could revive it to some degree. That's why I say, is it going to revive postseason play? Hey, look, you're still going to have bowl games, and they're still going to matter, but how much? I don't know. I'm doing shoulder shruggy guy. I don't know. It's up to you, and it's up to them.
Yeah, how many bowls are there really going to be? And,
Yeah,
and how icky are they going to be?
Right, and some of them, but like I say,
The Cool Whip bowl.
yeah. I mean, I think the ones that matter, it's not quite as much. And look, again, a bowl game is up to you to enjoy. People say there's too many bowl games. Well, then don't watch the ones you don't want to watch. But somebody wants to play in them, and somebody wants to host them, and somebody wants to make some money selling tickets. And Disney owns like half those bowls.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
So, all right, we'll update you on the Irmo team. We'll update you on start, bench, drop. And I do want, speaking of the Illini, I got a little question for Jen, who's an Illinois native. Even if she's been here most of her life, I got a question for her about that Gamecock Illini rivalry. He tried to say. You're listening to the postgame show.
Assembly Street at Gervais Street, I have an accident there. Also looking at a tie-up, Carolina Pines Drive at Jenkins Brothers Road in Blythewood. I-77 northbound at I-20, also an accident. I-77 southbound right there at I-26. That's exit 1. Jamil Road at St. Andrews Road and Kelly Mill Road at EJW Road. So be mindful of those this afternoon. 94 for the high is where we're kind of trying to tap out a little bit. 88 for your high tomorrow with a couple thunderstorms possible. 90 on Wednesday with a few clouds. 91 currently on 107.5 The Game.
Welcome back in. Post-game show rolling on here on a Monday. Jay Phillips, Jen Jensen hanging out. Again, appreciate Jen coming all the way back over here after a whole morning with Preston and Elijah and deciding to put up with me again. We were just saying Midnight Oil. They're a great Australian band.
Oh, man.
They had like, I know they had at least 2 really big albums, maybe a third, but I mean, they were big for a little bit.
Yeah. No, I appreciate their music. I
Big
love
on MTV.
Forgotten Years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Forgotten Years. That was a good one.
Yeah.
Beds Are Burning.
Oh, yeah.
That was like their first big hit over here. All right, so many of you know, because Jen's been with us a long time, that Jen grew up in like central Illinois. Is that fair? Like you didn't grow up in Chicago.
No, about 50 miles south of Chicago, just right on the east side.
Eastern Chicago, east central Illinois. Is that fair?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm about 15 miles off the Indiana border.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to Indiana.
Have you?
Yeah.
How nice.
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
Richmond, Indiana. It's near Dayton. It's on the other side of the state.
Oh, on the eastern side. Okay.
Yeah.
I went to Dayton because I went to Butler University in Indianapolis, and a friend of mine, her brother went to Dayton.
Okay.
And
I saw the Wright brothers' house in Dayton, but then I had a friend that lived in Richmond, and that's only like 45 minutes. So I was like, all right, I'll go over there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Look at that.
And now you have family that went to Illinois.
Yes.
And of
in
course,
fact, I did Little Sis's weekend.
Okay.
With my sister.
And our good friend Andrew Kiddick, who worked at Carolina for many years, is an Illinois grad.
Yeah.
So he was torn last week. I kept calling the bowl game the Andrew Kiddick Classic. But there's a lot of people now that really want, and again, this year in all these preseason rankings, Carolina and Illinois are basically a spot apart, like AP, coaches, athletic.
Scary.
You know, they're like right there. And I told some people, like, I even had one Gamecock being like, why is Illinois ahead? I was like, dude, if all you got to go on, if with everything else being equal, is when did you play? You know, and they beat you, that's good enough to just, it's a preseason poll.
Yeah.
But how did people up there take it? What was that dynamic like for you? Because that Shane versus Brett, that became like, a WWE type buildup.
Yeah. According to them, Shane, yuck.
Okay.
He was just out of control, and he's not that great of a coach. And, then I come in and I was like, well, you got a beached whale coaching your team. And, like, I might have gotten a little ugly. But and then it probably.
I'm sure that went over well. You haven't had Christmas yet or Thanksgiving, so.
No, that's true. That's true.
I mean, that's the good news is that those things happened after your big family gatherings.
But my nephew, who also went there, I get this package in the mail, and it is 2 Citrus Bowl hats with, Illinois being victorious and whatever.
Well,
and
I was kind of scared for a minute on what you were getting ready to tell me you might have got.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, it wasn't terrible, but it was just like
a Sicilian message, an Illinois message.
Right. Yeah, from farm animals. But, so I haven't decided what to do with those. But, yeah, they view Shane differently. Obviously, we love Shane, think he's amazing. They don't. They have their own take, and I'm just like, you're all wrong.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair. I would see, but this brings me back around asking that. See, This is why I'm dead serious when I say this. I would love an SEC Big Ten football challenge, and why not? Like, if you could have one this year, and you wouldn't know who was going to play whom until like sometime in the spring, and then like just you have a hole in the schedule for where the game would be played, but you don't know who you're going to play for a while. Like, how awesome! I see. Sometimes when you think about like a rematch, like a it's a Super Bowl rematch and in week 3. I'm like, no, it's a game in week 3.
Correct.
But in the NFL, it doesn't mean as much. But if you said Carolina and Illinois were going to play each other again,
I think that would get some attention.
As the kids say, there'd be some juice in that one.
Yep. Because and especially because of how talked about it was. Not only the game and how close, and it got a lot of attention.
It made news. But real quick, no score. Still no score. The Nevada team has changed pitchers, though.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. But still, we're at the top of the 6 now, too, kids.
So there's a third of the moms right now that have chewed all the nails off of one hand.
That's right. But again, this kid or this team from Nevada will get a chance if the Irmo kids can't score.
I don't love that.
2 out, nobody on. Top 6. Irmo is the visitor today.
Yeah. Like I said, don't love that.
So we'll keep you updated.
Okay.
But yeah, I was curious. I haven't talked to you about how that all went down, because I knew you had family that had gone to Illinois. But I'd love to see something like that. I get just an SEC Big Ten, and again, Carolina, Ohio State, or Penn State. Look, Penn State and Ohio State don't want to play South Carolina because. Not that they're scared of. It's just like if you beat them, you're supposed to, and if you don't, what happened? That's why I want like games. Let Ohio State play Georgia or Texas. That's fine.
Yeah, right.
I got no problem with that.
No, I think it'd be
if
very
you climb
fun
that ladder one day, or as I've said, like have the Big Ten SEC challenge, just be like that's why I say hold a spot for it on the calendar. But to have the champions play each other and so on down the line, or like I would do it regular season. I wouldn't have like the championship game winners play each other, but just it might still be those 2 teams, but you have the standings match up every year, and see what happens. All right, Irmo did just get a kid on base.
Oh, good.
So, but that's just runner on first with 2 out. All right, real quick too before we do J or Nay on the other side, your Bears.
The Bears
decided to take it out on the Bills in preseason.
Yeah.
Caleb did play. Josh Allen did not. On a scale of 1 to 10, Jen Jensen is where when it comes to, I don't want to say Super Bowl because that's not fair yet.
No.
But where are you like in terms of positivity on the Bears being a solid playoff team?
I feel a little bit better this year than I have in recent years. That's for sure. I think the coach brings a lot. Some of the things I've read from preseason that like Caleb Williams has just been all in camp, and I think some of that was evidenced last night. I know they were like their first string and second string was solid, the offensive line last night, but even down to third and fourth, even they were scoring. So like I'm just seeing some things that look good, and I'm encouraged. But like I said, I really like our coach. And I think we have some hope for our quarterback.
It's a good division.
Yeah, it is.
It's a good division, and I think the Bears are elevating the floor of the division. I mean, Detroit and Minnesota were so good last year. Green Bay was good last year. People don't even talk about them because they finished 3rd.
That's a good point. And the Packers are just not worth talking about.
No, I get it. Yeah. I get it. But it's a good deep division. I think the Bears are getting better.
Yeah, I do too. I'm really excited about this season. I shouldn't say really, but I'm more hopeful than I've been in preseasons in the past.
I think of the teams in that division, I think the one that probably drops this year is Minnesota. I'm not saying they fall to last, but I think I don't think Minnesota has the same season they did last year.
I think Preston gave up on them last season.
I think Detroit can be good again. I think Green Bay's good.
Yeah.
But your Bears might they might find a way.
They might.
But that game the other night, that's the thing. Like 30.
It's preseason.
Yeah, 30. I'm like, preseason. And I think the Bills were like, sure, we'll play.
Right.
Why
Yeah, I'm guessing they weren't all in, but it gave us a chance to throw it kind of all out.
That's good. All right, we'll come back on the other side. Update, start, bench, drop today. MLB expansion, NBA expansion, NFL expansion. Rank those 1, 2, 3 for me. Start, bench, drop. And Jen gets to take over Jay or Nay on the other side.
I'm so excited. No pressure.
I am too. I am too. It's the postgame show. All right, 12 minutes in front of 5 o'clock here on a Monday afternoon. Welcome back in. Jay and Jen with you on the post-game show. It has come up a cloud over downtown Columbia, and we just had lightning not strike our building per se, but lightning definitely struck within a few blocks of us.
That was kind of close because it kind of snapped in the speakers, so it got some attention.
That was quite close.
Yeah.
South Carolina Irmo team did not score top 6. So we are into the bottom of the 6th. This team from Vegas is the home team today. So if they have a walk-off opportunity, but nobody on 1 out right now.
Okay.
So we'll see. We'll keep you updated on that. I'll have more at the top of the hour news.
Come on, boys.
I won't get into it right now, but one of our favorite listeners, Randy, hit me with former Reds general manager Jim Bowden's proposed realignment for divisions, and I texted or I tweeted back at Randy and said that Jim Bowden must have been drunk when he did this. This is terrible.
Oh no!
It's so bad I don't even want to read it. This is terrible. I'm like, dude, no, this is awful. It really is. It's awful. It's
just kind of makes you wonder what they're thinking when they write it.
I don't know. That's why I said he must have been drunk.
I just put this in these are
I was told I need to get my numbers up.
Yeah, like it's terrible. All right, you ready to do this?
Yes.
All right. So those of you obviously are regulars now. We've been doing Jay or Nay for a while. And when Elijah moved to the morning show, Terry took over.
Mm-hmm.
But now Jen Jensen gets to do Jay or Nay.
We'll see how this goes. Commanders and Bengals play tonight, so Jay or Nay. Jaden Daniels is closer to getting his team to a Super Bowl right now than Joe Burrow.
Ooh, wow, that's a good question. Well, Jay, and here's why. The Commanders made the NFC Championship game last year, and the Bengals didn't make the playoffs.
No.
Now, even though Joe's been to the Super Bowl, and Jaden has not, Jaden has only been there a year. And Washington's pretty good. I mean, and now with this Trey Hendrickson situation going on with the Bengals, yeah, Jay.
All right.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Jay or Nay? Spencer Rattler, week 1 starter for the Saints.
At least for now, he had a good weekend. So if they were choosing today, Jay.
Yeah.
Now there's a week to go, 2 weeks to go, I guess, but one more preseason game, and I'll be curious to see what practice is like in terms of what they're doing. But Spencer, I don't have his numbers in front of me, but they were good. They were good the other day. I think in their first game they gave Tyler Shook a lot of run because they know what they have in Spencer.
Mm-hmm.
And so they gave Tyler a lot more of the ball. And I think some fans read into that a little too much. I was like, no. Spencer has started NFL games. Tyler Shook was played at Louisville last year. But when they kind of switched things up the other day, yeah, Spencer, yeah. So
he had a 45-yard pass.
Yeah, if the season starts today, Jay, yeah, Spencer is their starter.
Jay or Nay? There will be at least 2 undrafted Gamecock players make the final NFL rosters for this year's class.
Oh, gosh. At least 2. Wow. Because there were a bunch of them, right? Jay.
Really? We're awfully positive today.
I am. I almost want to reserve the right to go and like get the latest to make sure of who is where and exactly how far along they are. But yeah, why not? I'm a positive guy.
I'm good with that.
That sounds good.
So Jay or Nay? Elijah's beloved Cincinnati Reds will steal the final wild card spot from your New York Mets.
I hope so. They'll love nothing more than for the New York Mets and their gajillion-dollar payroll to miss the postseason. The other night when the Braves were holding on by the skin of their teeth to beat New York 4-3 at Citi Field, Elijah texted me right at the end of the game. And he was like, I really need the Braves to hold on to this. And I told Terry on Friday, I just texted back a picture of the big Braves logo at Truist Park. That's all I did. I was like, it's all good, man. That was what I was trying to convey there. And the Braves held on for that. I don't look. I'll stay with my positivity because I want to wish it into existence. So
Okay,
I'll say
fair.
Jay.
Okay.
It's not really a caveat, but the Mets are the more talented team. And we still have all of September to play.
Yeah.
So Cincinnati's going to really have to punch above their weight. And I feel like at some point New York stops scuffling, but I'd love to be wrong about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's hard for me to describe. Like, I mean, you're a big Cubs fan.
Yeah.
You don't like the Cardinals.
No.
You know, so I think you take, or like you just mentioned, Bears Packers.
Yeah.
All right, that's how I feel about them. Like, I do not like the New York Mets.
Okay.
Now people ask, like, he used to boggle Heath's mind because he's like, "There's no connection." I'm like, I know.
Just don't like
I
them.
just hate the Mets.
Yeah.
And his
That's what I'm
wife
gonna
was the
call
same
him
way
a lot.
because she's a Braves fan. She's like, "Why do you guys hate the Mets?" Or he to us,
Mm-hmm.
because they're the Mets.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't that enough?
Exactly. I mean, I can't explain the detest I have for the Cardinals,
Yeah. So
but I've been to a couple of, they were, I guess, fairly close. So I went to a couple of Cubs Cincinnati Reds games back in the day.
Yeah.
You know, like I was little at the time,
Sure.
so showing my age, but like Johnny Bench and all that.
oh man,
Yeah.
that'd be awesome. So for Elijah's sake, I certainly hope so. I'll say J
Okay.
on that one. There you go. All right, headlines of the day. I've gone to extras. Irmo and Vegas in the Little League World Series. Update you on that and more from the Gamecock camp when the post-game show comes back.
Assembly Street at Gervais. They're working on that earlier tie-up. Also, Carolina Pines Drive at Jenkins Brothers Road in Blythewood. I-77 southbound at exit 1. There is still an accident in progress. And as far as your forecast goes, we are looking for potentially some isolated thunderstorms tonight. Currently kind of have one in downtown Columbia. Some rain coming down, so be mindful of that and watch for standing water on the highways. Then tomorrow, 88 for the high, 90 on Wednesday. Cloudy both of those days. Right now,
It is 5 o'clock news time here on this Monday. Welcome back in. It's also the final hour of the postgame show, along with Jen Jensen, who's in for Terry Ford today. I'm Jay Phillips in downtown's Herndon Chevy Studios. Again, as Jen just said, be careful out there because it's getting a little stormy. They've gone to extra innings, Little League World Series. The Irmo guys are the visitors today. They had a runner on third in the top of the seventh, but could not push him across. So we go to the bottom half with the team from Vegas with a chance to win. Otherwise, we keep rolling right along. And Irmo tossing a no-hitter thus far. A no-hitter through 6. So, and again, no runs scored today. What a game. What a game. We'll keep you updated throughout the afternoon. Gamecock football announcing today that season tickets are officially sold out. The athletics department saying that after a milestone fundraising year, momentum is helping to set records. This is the first time that the Gamecocks have sold out their football season ticket allotment at Williams-Brice. Each year's season ticket allotment is determined, they say, after ensuring tickets are available for students, single game and group sales, and visitor allotments. This year's cutoff was 47,500. More than 7,500 new season tickets were sold this year. And the Gamecock Club says with record renewal rates, Carolina will kick off with almost 5,000 more total season tickets sold than last year. So congratulations to all. And congratulations to some who will be putting those on third-party ticket sites. Because you're going to do okay, especially for games when Oklahoma, Alabama, and Clemson are coming to the University of South Carolina's home field. So there you go. Speaking of the Gamecocks, Shelley Smith's team starts 2-0. They had a 3-1 win yesterday over South Florida. The Bulls tied it up early in the second half. Gamecocks scored 2 in the second to give them the 2-goal cushion. So, again, they are 2-0 to start the year. And it was announced today that Lamont Paris's men's basketball team will take on NC State in an exhibition up in Greensboro. This will be on, October 26th. That's a Sunday afternoon, 4:30. NC State's women's team will play Maryland prior to the Gamecocks and the Wolfpack playing each other. Tickets for both games go on sale this coming Friday. So if you'd like to head up the road to Greensboro and see the little Gamecock basketball, Gamecocks at NC State, Sunday, October the 26th. Is that the day after the Bama game? Does that sound right, Jen? I think so. Y'all don't quote me on that, please, because I can't remember all the dates. But I think that's right. And somebody out there is screaming at your radio, either positively or negatively, in my direction. The Atlanta Braves have won 8 of their last 10. The Braves went to Cleveland and swept the Guardians. This after taking 2 of 3 in New York against the Mets and taking 4 of 5 from the Miami Marlins. So, again, break up the Atlanta Braves. They're back home tonight to take on the Chicago White Sox. You got any White Sox fans in your family, Jen? All you guys Cub fans? All right, that's good. The Sox are the worst team in baseball. At least I think they are. If not, Colorado might be. But the Sox are not good. Braves, 56 and 68. Again, good news. Braves are doing all right. Bad news. Braves are still 3 games behind Miami for third place in the East. Tonight, Spencer Strider goes for Atlanta. He is 5-10 with a 4.69. Yandris Gomez will go for Chicago. He is 2-1 with a 5.56. A couple other things on our integrated media headlines of the day. Ohio State today has named second-year quarterback Julian Sayin as their number one. Ryan Day announcing the decision, saying that it was a close competition, but that there was separation over the last week with consistent play. Sayin was the number 9 recruit in the country and the number 1 player in California when he signed with the Crimson Tide of Alabama, but he transferred to Ohio State when Nick Saban retired. Ryan Day continuing, our guys are confident again with both quarterbacks. We'll need both quarterbacks. Lincoln did a lot of great things. That's the other guy he beat out, Lincoln Kienholz. Did a lot of great things, but we're going to name Julian the starter, give him the majority of the reps, and go prepare to beat Texas. Julian Sayin played in 4 games last year, just 27 snaps, 5 of 12, 84 yards, and 1 touchdown. So there you go. Speaking of starting quarterbacks in the state of Ohio, big news, depending on your point of view. Joe Flacco, now in his 18th season in the National Football League, will start the year as the Cleveland Browns' number 1 quarterback. He will start the team's final preseason game against the Rams on Saturday. Kevin Stefanski says he'll treat the game as a dress rehearsal. Flacco did not play in the Browns' first 2 games. Joe Flacco is, look, he's been solid. He's won the Super Bowl. He's now 40 years old. He'll turn 41 in January. Remember, they had the competition between Flacco, Kenny Pickett, and then the 2 rookies, Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. Deshaun Watson is on the PUP list with an Achilles injury. But Pickett was a first-round pick a couple of years ago, has not participated in any drills since he hurt his hamstring on July 26th. Dylan Gabriel, last year's third-round pick, didn't play in the preseason because of a hamstring of his own. And Shedeur Sanders did not receive any reps with the starters during offensive camp. He missed the second game because of an oblique injury. The Browns last week signed Tyler Huntley to have some depth. But again, the 40-year-old Joe Flacco is now back with a second stint in Cleveland. 40 years old. Good for him, man. I mean, you know, it's not ideal.
I mean, you're not 40 yet, so, but do you think when you turn 40, that would be something you would aspire to do at that age?
You know what? For the amount of money that quarterbacks make, sure.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
That's kind of where I am. Yeah.
Sign
I'll give it the old college try.
Yeah, sign me
It seems
up.
like if you're in professional sports or you're a coach, you can try and you can fail, and then you still get paid your salary, and then you get paid to go away.
That's right.
I'm trying to see if I can make one of those deals
No, I get
happen.
it. I get it. And we'd mentioned it earlier, but Jen is very excited. Her Chicago Bears beat the Buffalo Bills 37
Nicely done.
or 38 to nothing. Excuse me, 38 to. I said 37 earlier. 38 to nothing in a preseason game in Chicago.
Couple injuries, but that's all right. Man up. Next man up.
And the Bills are 0-2. I think the Bills, honestly, I think Sean McDermott, their head coach, is like, yeah, I got to mention this earlier. He's like, okay, we'll play. Sure.
But I'm glad that the Bears did not match that. You know, I'm glad they went out there, played their game.
Well, Bears have, again, there are aspirations. The Bills, listen, the Bills need to get to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's really they're at a point now where it's Super Bowl or bust for them. I think if they and I feel bad for Baltimore. They're in the same boat.
Yeah.
And they had a playoff game against each other last year, of course. It's still the Chiefs' conference, if you will, to lose. But for Buffalo, I'm not sure how to take this. I am one who puts almost no stock in the NFL preseason.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I say almost no. Like I've got to when you lose 38 to nothing to a team that you know you're better than, the questions just become, what is it that you didn't like? What are you looking to do?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I wouldn't put too much in it on either side.
No.
But that's
But,
still
but
like
there were some things that we saw. Like they have never, as far as the Bears are concerned, never last season did they have a touchdown in the first drive.
right.
So it's like, okay, well, we did one thing that we didn't do at all last year.
But you mentioned like Ben Johnson, the new head coach. Great years in Detroit, and there's a lot on him. This isn't a year for Chicago to think anything other than can we elevate ourselves in our division.
Yep. Yeah, we're not looking for the Super Bowl this
Right.
year. Be
Yeah.
great, but
Bad news. Just gone final.
oh no.
The kids from Vegas with a 1-0 victory over the Irmo kids at the Little League World Series. Now it's not over for Irmo. But what a dichotomy in games to go from a run rule 13-0 just blowout to
Extra
a 1-0
innings won.
extra inning loss. So I don't have the schedule in front of me. I'll look it up for you in a second and find out who and when they next play. But a 1-0 defeat, and had a little bit of a play at the plate, but the ball from the outfield took a weird hop on the Irmo catcher, and he did not get a chance to make a play on it, and that allowed the kid from Vegas to score. So they win it 1-0. So Irmo is now 1-1 in this event, and I believe that was the Vegas team. I don't know how to get all the scheduling. Let's see, Vegas.
Yeah, I was trying to look at it here.
They're 3-0.
Really?
And now they will play a Connecticut South Dakota winner Wednesday and move on to the U.S. Championship. And South Carolina looks like they're going to play Hawaii. Is that right? I'll double check that for you.
I just watched them play. They
the Hawaii team.
yeah, they I think I watched them play. It was at Northeast. They weren't bad.
Yeah. Well, that's tough. That's a tough way to lose, man. But you know how good you are. So you know how good you are. I mean, the Irmo's given up one run in 13 innings, or no, I guess not. Let's see, 11 innings because they went to the fourth, so 11 innings.
Oh, okay. Good for
That's
them.
not bad.
I mean, that's not bad.
That's not bad.
They'll bounce back.
That's not bad. Also today, to close out things for you, our start bench drop, Major League Baseball expansion, NBA expansion, NFL expansion. The commissioner of Major League Baseball last night, Rob Manfred, speaking of Williamsport, during that Little League Classic between the Mariners and the Mets, did make mention of the fact that he would like to at least have the expansion cities, because they are going to expand. It's not an if, it's a when. He would like the expansion cities to be known before he leaves his job in a couple of years' time. And he made mention that Nashville and Salt Lake City are the leaders in the clubhouse. And that prompted me today to ask you guys, start, bench, drop, Major League Baseball expansion, NBA expansion, NFL expansion. We'll do some more of that for you as we move along this afternoon. That's our integrated media headlines of the day, 803-948-8327 for all your home theater needs and so much more. Call our good friends at Integrated Media. We'll have our Gamecock notebook on the other side. We'll revisit some of our conversation with our good friend John Whittle after Carolina's second scrimmage of August camp. You are listening to the postgame show. All right, welcome back in. Jay and Jen with you here on this Monday. Terry is moving his youngest into college today. Let the tears flow, at least from somebody. Ford will be like, get out of here, punk.
I bet he's the opposite. I bet he's just boo-hooing and carrying on. Holding on to the kid's leg, don't go.
I try to imagine Terry having a soft spot, and it's hard.
Yeah, I don't totally see it, but there's just part of me that just wants
I feel like the
somewhere.
soft spot for Terry is taking the brass knuckles and like covering them with some tape.
I don't think he's that tough, and I don't think he could use a power tool. I'd love to have a competition with him and see, who might. Yeah, that could be fun.
And don't worry, kids. These are all things we would say to him.
Oh,
if he were here.
100%. In fact, I'll record it now and play it back
right.
for him.
You
So no problem.
Speaking of things that we've done in the past, our good friend John Whittle joined us earlier today. Carolina had their second scrimmage of the season, or of the August camp on Saturday. We'll learn a lot more about it tomorrow when Coach Beamer has his next media opportunity. But, and I believe this starts with me reading the tweet. We talked to John and started him off with a tweet from Darren Heitner, who is representing Rasul Faison. Let me start you. I'll read it verbatim here. Darren Heitner, the attorney hired by Rasul Faison. Dear NCAA, the start of the season is days away. You have everything you need to determine if Rasul is eligible. Don't force our hand. Hashtag free Sewell. John, how much of a shot across the bow do you see this as?
Well, I think he's planning on tariffing the NCAA, if I'm right on that. No, I think he is certainly trying to exert a little bit of influence as you get here into the 11th hour. But yeah, it's certainly when somebody's speaking up for you on your behalf, who is got a voice in situations like this, then it might add a little bit of pressure. But we'll see what ends up coming about. There's been a lot of positivity around the situation here lately, and it feels like South Carolina will get a favorable ruling, but you never know until it's actually done.
Yeah, that's the intel I got last week was a feeling that they, as I said, they aren't up there going, let's see how we can screw this kid over. I think it's honestly the opposite, and I think maybe you're getting that same kind of info, John, that I think they understand the case that's being made, but until they do have all these puzzle pieces, as I've been saying a lot, put into place, the NCAA, just can't do it. We shall see. In the meantime, scrimmage number 2 over the weekend, from what I understand, the weather got involved, so they moved some of it indoors, but got a little bit of bad weather work too. But otherwise, we haven't learned a lot. How much more did you learn about what was accomplished on Saturday's scrimmage?
Yeah, you're right. It just never has quite the same feel when you go indoors and when you get to play in the stadium. But they still got a lot of good work in over there, and it sounded like, from what I was able to gather, a little bit better day for the offense, but not necessarily a bad day for the defense. I know sometimes folks try to make one really good and one be the opposite. So, I'm not sure that I'd go that far. I think the defensive staff overall was pretty pleased. But you never really know until the ball kicks off. But I think at the end of the day, that from what I've been able to gather, just in general, taking Saturday out of it, I think the coaching staff is pretty happy with what they've been able to accomplish over these first 17 days. The players have today off, I believe, and we'll get back at it tomorrow. But over those first 17 days or so of practice, the sense I get has been very positive in general.
What have you, I know a couple of weeks ago, last time we had you on, as camp was getting ready to start, we talked about maybe those position groups that were the most concerning. You and I agreed that at least at that point, linebacker might be it, and these are certainly all quite debatable. What more, I'll just start you there, what more are we learning about that group? Again, deep, talented, not necessarily experienced. How much more quickly have they come around from what you've gathered?
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got four that you feel pretty good about right now, and I don't know if maybe that's considered deep or not. I mean, it's good enough, especially if you're able to keep everybody healthy. But you feel good about Fred Johnson. You feel good about Sean Murphy. I think those two guys are probably your starters right now. If I'm guessing, John Willis, don't sleep on him, and Justin Okoronkwo. I mean, both of those guys are, I think, very good in a backup role. So I do feel like the linebacker situation is at least in a pretty good spot from a depth standpoint. You know, if you have a fifth linebacker, I mean, I think you probably need one. You know, is it going to be one of your freshmen or one of your walk-ons who have been around for a while? And you know, Donovan Darden was the highest rated player in the class by 24/7 Sports. You know, he might have a chance to get in there. You know, maybe a Tayshawn Alston, not Tayshawn Alston, excuse me. But there may be another guy who's a little bit older, who's been around. Maybe a Colin Bryant who's played some on special teams. But you know, it's that's a position to watch, and defensive end too is another that I kind of have circled. Is you know, you wonder how that's going to end up shaking out.
Talking to our good friend John Whittle of the Big Spur, Gamecocks held their second scrimmage of August camp over the weekend. Coach Beamer will have more reflection upon what happened tomorrow, and we'll have that for you here on the station and more throughout the day tomorrow. All right, I'm not putting you on the spot per se, but we just hit linebackers, and again, you and I had talked about that a couple of weeks ago. So let me go to maybe a second group that you're looking at. There's concern over. Again, you can have concern almost everywhere on this team except for maybe Lenoris and Dylan Stewart, right? But from a position group standpoint, what's next on your list, and in terms of how they're coming along?
Yeah, I mean, I wonder about defensive end and worry about them a little bit. I mean, you recruited Jalen Brown to come in and be a dude pretty quickly, and you know that's not going to come to fruition. You know, with his injury, you know, I feel pretty good about Brian Thomas Jr. on one side and Dylan Stewart obviously on the other. But you know, we've focused so much on the defensive tackles, and you think so positively about Dylan Stewart, but then you don't necessarily think too much about, you know, what's behind them. And you know, Desmond Umeozulu, he hasn't really made much of an impact his first couple of years. You know, he's a guy, Jatius Gear, hasn't been able to stay healthy since he's been here, missed time early on, banged up a little bit. You know, he could be a guy who's out there, but are you going to keep him healthy? You know, you've recruited a couple of players who have just been okay in terms of how they've produced, you know, in their previous stops, like a George Wilson or a Demon Clowney. You know, it's just that to me is probably my biggest question mark on the team, if I'm being honest, is the two end positions.
When it comes to offensive line, fans across the country, this isn't unique to Carolina fans, John, you know, always worry about that, and I certainly get it. You do too. But I have gone into this camp looking at that depth chart and really have, at least I've made myself believe, that's a solid unit. There's some interchangeable positions, and you might want to solidify a few things, but what are you getting from the ball club itself in terms of how they feel, not just about a front five, but maybe, you know, 4 or 5 guys behind them as well?
Yeah, I mean, this is the most depth they've had, the most talented depth, and most experienced depth. I mean, just the whole nine. I mean, you feel really good about that position in general. You know, we've talked about having depth along the O-line before, but usually that depth includes, you know, a couple of true freshmen who you think are going to be really good, or maybe 3 true freshmen who are going to be really good. And, you know, this group, you start looking at the guys who are probably going to be backups, and those guys have been starters before, either here at other institutions. And, you know, that's when you know you're starting to build some depth. I mean, I was reading on the Big Spur message boards today, one of the guys had Jatavius Shivers projected as a third teamer at tackle, and I mean that guy played a lot last year, and if he's third team, like those 2 guys in front of him have got to be pretty darn good, right? So, you know, I think they're very content with where they are, both from a talent standpoint and a depth standpoint. I think Josiah Thompson has made a lot of strides. I think they're very happy with the growth that the players who are coming back have made. But they're also very happy with the guys that they've brought in and how those guys have kind of integrated into all this, whether it's a Boaz Stanley or whether it's a Nick Sharp or whether it's a Nolan Hay. Shedrick Surratt out of Gaffney, he's a freshman who's making some noise too, and maybe able to end up being a starter, at least a contributor on the offensive line this year as a true freshman. So if you have a freshman in there who's making a little bit of noise too with some of these guys who have been multi-year starters either at South Carolina or other places, I mean, that's a great thing,
Yeah,
right?
not bad. That's our good friend John Whittle joining us earlier. Full interview will be on the YouTube page, on the podcast page as well. And again, John M. Whittle to follow for all that John does. Terrific work on the beat for thebigspur.com. All right, come back on the other side. It's drive around the SEC time. Starting quarterback named. A former big-time quarterback gets an honor, and a little trouble with Bama's backfield. That's all part of the drive around the SEC. It is next. AAA Heating and Air ready to make sure that you and your family are nice and comfortable all year long, but especially this time of year, right? Because it's going to get hot for the next 6-8 weeks, right? And if you've been kind of sweating through the summer going, why isn't this system working right? It might be time to get it checked out, 803-677-1500. And maybe you say, I have a system that's doing all right, but, man, it's expensive. Well, how about something new and more efficient? AAA can help you out with that as well. Listen, take advantage of this. No payments or interest for a full year for qualified buyers, guaranteed financing, $1,500 system buyback rebate, and a 15-year parts and labor guarantee. I love what they've done at my house. We had a system go out a few months back where my kids sleep. They weren't real happy. Now they are. That simple. 803-677-1500. Tell them we sent you to AAA Heating and Air.
Blythewood Road near I-77, still working that earlier slowdown. Hardscrabble Road at Charleston Estate Lane. Highway 302 at Main Street. Also, they're saying Highway 302 at Old Dunbar Road. I-77 northbound at Farrow Road and Two Notch at Fontaine. So several accidents out there. We've had a little bit of rain. Currently have a little bit right now, so there could be some standing water. Just be mindful of that if you would. And we'll overnight low 75. Tomorrow, a chance for maybe a pop-up afternoon or evening thunderstorm. 88 will be our high. 90 on Wednesday with partly cloudy conditions. Drop into the 80s by the weekend. Currently 91 and overcast and scattered rain across the Midlands.
It is Drive Around the SEC time on this Monday. Welcome back in. Jay and Jen with you. Jen Jensen is here in Terry's place as Terry is moving his youngest into college. It's a son, not a daughter. So, again, Terry's like, get out of here, kid.
Yeah, and that may be. It may not be tears. It may just be like, yeah, go get him, son.
On the other hand,
see ya.
I think mom's going to be the one. Oh, God. Yeah.
It's my baby boy.
Yeah, see, you have sons and daughters. I only have daughters. So it's always been different. I don't know. There's always something. Like, I don't know what it feels like to just, like, I remember my mom.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I think my mom, like, when she helped me and I grew up with my roommate. So I knew, like, listen, as a kid, I think my mom, like, took me to the Kroger.
Okay. Did she drop you off there? I thought that's where the story was going.
No, because I typically would even like do my, but I think that that was pretty much like the extent, like otherwise like, yeah, all right, you're good.
There you go. Okay.
You know.
Wow.
It's like she bought the first round of groceries. Otherwise, she was like, what do you want me to do?
That's funny.
And my mother was amazing. I mean, a wonderful, nurturing human being.
Just wasn't sure.
Don't get me wrong. I just think she was like, well, you don't need me to do. I mean, I'm not like, she certainly wasn't going to move any furniture or unpack anything.
No.
You know, we like y'all are 18-year-old boys. You can move your own furniture.
They're strapping young men.
Yeah, and we did too. We moved all our own furniture.
That's great.
Whatever we had to do.
Mm-hmm.
And she wasn't going to unpack my clothes.
No.
Like my wife insists. Did you do this for your daughter? Like my wife insists. Like she wants to get out. Yeah, I just want to get them settled. I'm like, honey.
Yeah.
They're of legal age. Like they know how to unpack their suitcase.
Yeah, there's just something.
It's very
that same
nesting. Very
Mm-hmm.
But like so if we had a boy, I'm like, I even told her that once. I was like, if we had a boy, we'd have been gone 2 hours ago.
Maybe. I don't know. I kind of was that when my son moved. I was like, okay, well, do you need this? Or how about we do this? Let's get you organized here. So I still kind of played that game a little bit. With your girls, okay, I have to ask because real quick story. 4 girls.
Yes.
So car trips, road trips probably were interesting sometimes. Sometimes challenging.
Yep.
Did you ever do my dad's trick? We had 3 girls, and we went on a road trip. And we were somewhere in the Northeast. I was little. I was probably like 5, so I was perfect, I'm sure, at the time. And ended up driving, and there must have been chatter in the car or something like that. Well, we ended up at an airport. He bought 4 tickets, put me, 2 of my sisters, my mom on airplanes, and he took about 3 days to drive back.
What?
I know, right?
No, I never did that. I thought you were going to say like you showed up at an airport and then you went to like some exotic locale.
Oh, no. It was, I'm not dealing with this to drive home, so you're all getting on a plane and bye-bye.
No.
Yeah.
The only time we ever came close to that when there was some drama, there was and look, and this sounds mean, like it was a Disney World trip, and Disney World can be exhausting for children, and that's one of the grand ironies of Disney World. And my kids love Disney World, but there was just a day, like halfway through the trip, where there was just a little too much sniping, and it had been like after a nap and all that, so there was like And I said, all right, that's it. And I just stopped. I was like, start packing. And they're like, everybody's looking like, what? And I'm like, no, I'm serious.
Yeah,
Because they all had their own little, like, Cinderella, whatever suitcase, right?
Right.
I'm like, start packing. And they thought, and I was like, nah. And so, like, they're like 2/3 of the way through repacking. And it's just like Wednesday, and we're like Saturday to Saturday, right?
Nice.
And I was setting the tone. I'm like, we're not doing, I'm not. And of course, we weren't leaving because if for no other reason, you know how bleeping much it costs to go to Disney World?
Correct,
I ain't leaving halfway through a trip.
Yeah.
But they didn't know that because my oldest was probably 10.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah, that was the right age.
9. And so that means and then mine are all 3 years apart. So we had a baby.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they weren't going to call your bluff.
Yeah. Well, they didn't,
That's great.
And so they got about 2/3 of the way through.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, hey. And they were all, And I wasn't trying to do that. I just tried to get them in the right place.
Yeah.
Like, we're
snap
here.
out of it.
Yeah.
We're here.
And that worked. So that's the closest I've done to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
But I don't know if Terry will do that tomorrow.
Yeah, right. Probably not.
We'll see. All right, drive around the SEC. Auburn is going to retire Cam Newton's number 2 jersey, he tried to say. It will take place October 11. Here's the thing. That's the Georgia game. I know how much that rivalry means. But right now, Auburn may win the game. But I wouldn't have done that. I'd have done this, but I wouldn't have done it when Georgia comes to town.
No.
Not this season. Not right now. He will join Pat Sullivan and Bo Jackson, along with wide receiver Terry Beasley, as the only Auburn players to have their numbers retired. Now, here's the thing. I'm still a little confused, and I haven't had a chance to double-check this yet. The initial thing I saw said they're retiring the jersey. Now, there's a difference in retiring a number. Like, for instance, at South Carolina, nobody will ever wear 37 or 38 or 2 again. But like Alshon and Jadeveon, like they retired a jersey. So there'll be a number 1 again. There'll be a number 7 again, and so on and so forth, right? I've seen both here. I think they're retiring his number 1, or his number 2, and that'll be it. But I'm still kind of confused as to whether or not it's a retired jersey and somebody can wear it again.
And funny that that's the player that is. There's confusion. Like, he's always been a confusing cat. So, this just kind of makes it.
But, and I'm saying, and he wore number 2. Now, there were 2 number 2s back then. But it's kind of like with, like Ryan Brewer, like 21. And I think, of course, Marcus wore 21. And y'all help me out. Did Devontae Holloman wear 21 at the same time Marcus did? Was that who wore 21 on defense? I can't remember for sure. But anyway, Cam Newton's number 2 will be retired October 11 when Georgia comes to town. Speaking of folks in that fine state, Alabama's Jam Miller, the Tide's top returning tailback, suffered what was called an upper body injury over the weekend, and he will miss the opener in Tallahassee. Said Kalen DeBoer, quote, Jam suffered an upper body injury in Saturday's scrimmage and went in for a procedure on Saturday evening. Jam should recover fully with a timetable for his return yet to be determined.
Kalen doesn't need all of that drama.
Not right now. I think they should easily beat Florida State, but that's just me. Jam Miller last year had 668 yards, 7 touchdowns on 145 carries. So a pretty good season. Yeah. Now they have 2 sophomores, Richard Young and Daniel Hill, who combined for about 200 yards, taking the bulk of the carries. They'll play so who do they have after that? I can't remember. I'll double check for you. But that's not great. I'll say, as they try to revamp that offense, that's not the easiest thing to deal with, because I think they see him as a kid who could maybe get upwards of 1,000 yards next season.
Wow, that's gonna be painful for them.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to that game. They have Louisiana Monroe after that, and then Wisconsin. So he could probably miss the Monroe game, but you'd like to have him back for the Badgers.
I would
then
think so.
they have a week off before going to Athens. And finally, in our drive around the SEC, to the surprise of pretty much nobody, Tennessee made it official over the weekend and named Joey Aguilar as their starting quarterback. He transferred from UCLA, never really played for the Bruins. He had been at Appalachian State. And then, of course, there was the whole Nico Iamaleava drama where Nico went to UCLA. And so in what looked like a trade, even though it wasn't, Joey Aguilar went to Knoxville, and he will be the starter next, at least when they open the season. Last year, 3,000 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 14 picks. So he'll need to cut down on that last one. But I like what Josh Heupel does with his quarterbacks. So there you go. Tennessee naming Joey Aguilar their starter. They open with a pretty good Syracuse team. That could be an interesting game. I expect Tennessee to win, but that could be interesting. That's our drive around the SEC. A few final start, bench, drop reactions for you. And Jen is in charge of Jay versus the Internet when the postgame show returns. All right, welcome back. I look forward to talking about this tomorrow. As soon as I get out of here tonight, the Godfather, Brian Glenn, has asked me to be a judge with him tonight at a media event down at Village Idiot 5 Points.
That'll be fun.
I hope. I mean, I guess I get to eat a lot of pizza. So whoever's participating, I hope you make a lot of good pizza.
Yeah,
I don't
okay.
want. I don't want to like flunk anybody.
I know.
You
That
know?
would make me feel bad.
Yeah, I don't like doing that.
Don't let them know what I voted for.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I would. That's what I would choose. Like
These
please,
are. I'll
please
just
don't
say
tell me.
these are great. Here's my one fear is somebody is going to have like, you know, because I hate olives.
Oh.
And when I say hate,
I love them.
yeah, I wish I did, man. I've said
That's me with
I wish. See, you're just like my wife. My wife will eat
salsa,
a pound of
spaghetti
olives,
sauce. Oh, okay.
but she hates tomatoes. Now she'll do salsa
Yep, me
and
too.
spaghetti sauce.
It's
but
weird.
she will not a raw like. And if I like take a sliced tomato, just a little salt and pepper, and just or I've even eaten like a really fresh tomato, like an apple, and it makes my wife just want to like hurl.
Yeah, I wish I liked it. It would make life a lot easier.
Yeah, me too. I hear you. But I'm doing that tonight, so I'll have a report
Oh,
tomorrow.
can't wait to hear.
Before we do Jay versus the Internet, a couple of final hits from Start Bench Drop. Again, today's selections were Major League Baseball expansion, NBA expansion, NFL expansion. Start Bench Drop those based on some MLB talk. Mark with a funny answer. All three need to lose 4 teams from each league. I get you, Mark, but that won't happen. David says start Major League Baseball, bench NFL, drop NBA expansion. Robert says start Major League Baseball, bench NFL, cut NBA expansion. All right. Let's see here. Got a couple more. Bobby says start NFL, drop NBA, bench Major League Baseball. All right. And then Randy, again, I'll have to do this later. Franklin, sorry, one more from Franklin. Franklin says start NBA, bench MLB, drop NFL. I would, mine would be, I do think Major League Baseball needs 32 teams, so I'm going to start Major League Baseball, bench NBA, drop NFL. NFL's fine. But
Yeah,
I got a hunch NFL is going to go to like 36. Just because they'll be, let's face it, when the lowest value of a team is $5.5 billion, what would the expansion fee be that those owners could then share?
Oh, didn't
And
think
then
about
multiply
that,
it by 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's ripe.
Yeah,
That's
they'll
right for
just
the
it's
picking.
like that's just ching. So
Yeah.
we'll see. All right, appreciate y'all. We'll do another one tomorrow. All right, it's Jen's turn to do Jay versus the Internet.
All right. So, do the Braves continue their red hot play and beat the White Sox?
Yes, because the White Sox are terrible.
The White Sox are terrible. It just brings joy to my heart.
I hope so.
Will Joe Burrow throw a touchdown pass in tonight's preseason game?
Who are they playing? Can I look that up real quick? Hold on, I'll tell you.
I don't remember.
That's okay. Hold on. What's today? The 18th.
Yes.
Ooh, at Washington. And he's only going to play for like 10 minutes. No.
Okay. Fair enough. And who wins the second game of today's doubleheader between the Brewers and the Cubs? Answer carefully.
Well, now that the Brewers finally lost, maybe the floodgates are open.
That's my hope.
So I will, because you're here. See, this is how I do this. I will choose your Chicago Cubs.
I appreciate that.
Not only that, but my number 3 daughter is still a huge Dansby Swanson fan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Don't blame her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's
Smart girl.
So there's that.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, we'll do it that way.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not. I think I'm like three games under 500 or behind the audience, whatever the number is. Elijah has all the stats.
I'll make sure he has these.
But I often try to choose. Like if it's like the other day, I forget what it was, something about Kyle Schwarber, and I was like, well, I just don't want Kyle Schwarber to do anything good. I don't like the Phillies.
Yes, correct.
So I just went against that, and I think I ended up losing that one. But you know what? I don't care.
Yeah. You spoke with your heart. You voted with your heart.
I'm not going to like. There was something about Pete Alonso and the Mets one time, and I was like, I'm not going to choose Pete Alonso to do something good.
Mm-mm. Don't blame me there.
So That's just it. And thank God these aren't for money.
Right. Because you still have to pay for college tuition.
Yeah, I don't know what these are for other than pride. And you know what? My pride went out the window a long time ago.
Yeah. You have 4 daughters and you work here. So,
Yeah, I'm kidding. Okay, pride.
Actually, just working
Pride's-
here. You work with Terry.
That's
Come
right.
on.
Pride's overrated.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? It was great to have you come in. Thank you for volunteering.
You're very welcome. I don't even need to be bribed with beer.
No, that's right. Again, I when Elijah was here a couple weeks ago, got Elijah a case of beer for working 3 days with me. I offered Jen 8 beers. She said no.
No.
I might
I'm
just
good.
bring you one anyway.
You know what? I would welcome it.
If there's a beer here, I can't do it for tomorrow morning, but if there's a beer here on Wednesday morning,
I'll know it's from you.
yeah. And
So sweet.
It's all from the heart.
I
All
appreciate
right,
it.
I'll report back on what we're going to do over at Village Idiot. Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And,
Have fun.
Shane Beamer tomorrow,
Mhm.
and Terry will be back. We'll see how disappointed he is that he's dropped off a son. See y'all. And one final note from our good friends at Integrated Media. Listen, football season is nearly here. If you are a believer in things like week 0, then basically it is here. And have you done your part to get your home theater set up the right way for all of football and everything else you like to watch and listen to? 803-948-8327 is the number to call. Listen, again, an indoor home theater system, it kind of speaks for itself, right? I talk a lot about the outdoor setups because now the costs of setting up an outdoor home theater have come down dramatically because so many folks across the country are doing that. And the outdoor equipment is built to be outside all the time, even in thunderstorms and really hot weather or really cold weather. Integrated Media can do that for you, too. And they come to you. They make house calls, whatever you want. One room, whole house, indoors, outdoors, Wi-Fi that works everywhere for all your streaming and everything else. 803-948-8327. Call Integrated Media.